his leadership. So let's give a warm Rotary welcome to head baseball coach Brad Hill.
All right, thank you. Appreciate you all being here today. We gotta love baseball in Kansas. We got 60 yesterday, 30 today. So, well, my coach came over and go, Coach, are we going outside today? And I said, was it not that bad out? I went and got my car said 30. I didn't text. I immediately called him on my Bluetooth and said, no, are you crazy? We're not going outside, 30 degrees today. We have a beautiful, nice, big football facility. We have a gracious football coach that allows us to go in there and get our work done today. So we'll go back inside. But we have been very fortunate because the first weekend we were able to practice officially. It was 65 degrees and we got a great weekend at a practice. And then the next weekend kind of went from 65 to the 45, but in Kansas, we'll take it. You know, Kansas baseball, we'll take 45 until February. And then this weekend, we're going to just kind of keep right on going down into the 30s. So kind of a thing where we'll have to deal with that this weekend, make an adjustment. And of course, I saw next week we leave for California. It's going to be nicer in Manhattan than in California, the long-range forecast. So, you know, life in the Midwest as a baseball coach can definitely have its challenges. So, but you know, I thought this year we'll talk a little bit, kind of try to give a little bit of a synopsis of our program and our team. And you know, it's kind of a interesting deal. We've gone through a lot of changes, obviously, the last few years, and we run through a cycle of players and things, and we're kind of in a cycle right now where we have a lot of seniors and a lot of freshmen. And I'm not sure what's in between yet. So I know we have a lot of seniors and we have a lot of freshmen. So it's kind of going to be an intriguing year to see how our seniors can step up and lead. We have a really nice class of freshmen. We had actually 3 drafted kids, and our highest draft ever showed up on campus, which was a nice thing. So so I would guess that I probably shouldn't make it sound like we have a lot of good players, because you wonder why if we don't win, they'd probably have to blame it on the coach. But we are kind of excited about the prospectus of this year. You know, last year I thought rough start, a lot of new faces last year. But I think what we take into account last year is how we actually finished the season. We always talk about how you finish. You know, you can finish really strong, but if you don't play real well at the beginning, it doesn't do a lot of good either. But I take into account the fact of, you know, last year we had 22 new faces out of 34. So it was a lot of new faces. We went through some growing pains. But boy, the last 5 weeks, you know, I really appreciated the kids continue to compete and play the way they played. We won 3 out of the last 5 Big 12 series. We won. One being TCU. We beat TCU 2 out of 3 here, and they went to the College World Series. We went down to the Big 12 tournament and really played well against Oklahoma. For some reason, we have kind of a knack right now against Oklahoma. Our women's basketball, men's basketball. For some reason, we played well against them. We won't mention football this year, but we played well against Oklahoma. I thought we finished on a really high note last year. Unfortunately, you start a new year, we don't get to pick up from that point. But it is good for us to be able to talk about, particularly those older guys, remember the feeling they had of going out playing with the confidence that we did against like TCU and Kansas. Of course, we went over to Kansas. It's always good to beat the Jayhawks 2 out of 3, and that knocked them out of the complete tournament. So they didn't go to the tournament and put us up in the middle of the pack of the Big 12, and that was kind of a nice accomplishment for our kids to be able to do that. And then beat Baylor. Last year's team beat Baylor 2 out of 3 in Waco. It's the first time ever a K-State baseball team's won a series in Waco. And I've had 3 or 4 really good teams here that couldn't do that. And last year's team accomplished that late in the year too. So I think it's really, you know, I'm excited about this year, obviously. I'm excited to see how these older kids kind of take what we did last year and see if they can kind of make the strides and be the leaders that we need them to be for this younger group. Probably another key thing is we're not, well, unfortunately I found out this morning, we didn't have any injuries until I shouldn't have gone in this morning, I guess, but I found out we do have a young man that was a pretty good pitcher as a freshman last year, is going to be out the first month. Hopefully he's going to be healthy. A kid named Bryce Ward that pitched a lot for us last year as a freshman, but he's the only one. So that's kind of changed from the last 2 years. We've had probably anywhere from 4 to 6 kids, key contributors, particularly on the mound, that haven't been able to pitch. This year we're healthy. So another sign that, point to the coach if things don't go well, I guess. So everyone's healthy. So I probably shouldn't be telling you all these things. I'm kind of setting myself up for a bad deal. But anyway, I think, again, looking forward to the year. Like I said, the other thing I guess we have is we have 2 new coaches in place. It was a pitching coach, Coach Reynolds, who had been with me a long time. I coached him at Central Missouri, was an All-American, a 3rd-round draft pick there, and came back around to me, and was my pitching coach here the last 3 or 4 years, and was a big part of that conference championship that we had in 13. Took a job and moved his family up to Chicago, a new opportunity up there, a new challenge for him that he felt like he was ready for. So we have a new pitching coach, and that was kind of an interesting deal. When you go to get coaches, you're always supposed to have a list. I probably don't do a good enough job of preparing that list like you should. It was always having 2 or 3 guys on your sheet when you lose a coach to pull it out and see who's there. But I really thought I wanted to stay in the Midwest. Thought that made a lot of sense. So I had 3 or 4 guys that I did. I flew here and flew there and drove there, and places I could go see, people who maybe had a little more recognition of Kansas State and who we were. And it's just one of those things, you get that gut feeling there just wasn't the right fit. Even though things maybe kind of pointed that this is the guy you should hire, for me it didn't feel right in my gut, to be honest with you. So I kind of wiped the slate clean, and quite honestly, I went to the West Coast and opened up some doors out there and interviewed what I felt like were two or three really good candidates. And for some reason, Tyler Kincaid, a young man out of San Diego, he called me, honestly, said I was, looking for a pitching coach and just kind of want to know what I was looking for. And so I decided to go ahead and give him a quick little phone interview. And in that 30 minutes, for some reason, something just clicked with him and what I thought we were looking for, a little bit different than what we'd had. I've always been in my tree, your family tree. Sean McCann had been my pitching coach. He's who started with me at Central Missouri, and then Josh Reynolds played for me at Central Missouri. So I'd always kind of been in my family tree, and some people like to do that because it kind of keeps you in a comfort zone. Well, I kind of went outside of that. And Tyler Kincaid, it was kind of an interesting deal. His coach wasn't real happy with me or him, and so I wasn't going to allow him to come interview. And so I thought it was kind of done, but something, again, just one of those things that just kind of keeps picking at you. I finally said, what, I'm calling, and if I have to, I'll sneak out there, and I'll be 2 hours from here, so your coach will never know I'm there. And I'll meet you and talk to him. And finally, a calmer, maybe calmer head prevailed, and the head coach finally said, I can't hold you back. If you want to go interview. Brought him out here with his wife, and man, it was impressive. Our kids really liked him. He's very detailed, which is probably good for me because I'm not detailed as I stand up here and wing this thing. I'm not very detailed. I kind of, you got things, you've been doing something for 20-some years, you just it becomes kind of habit. You do things over and over. Well, he's introduced some new things to me, and very, very in-depth. We've also probably have 3 or 4 recruits that we've gotten that we've never gotten before. They're high-profile pitchers that we've never gotten before. I think he's been a big part of that, and I just think he's done a wonderful job. We brought him out. Obviously, his wife came with him. That was concerned. His wife, family, they're all in California. That had me a little bit concerned, but came out. Mr. Curry did a great job of kind of rolling out the red carpet and helping me out a little bit. And we went to breakfast the next morning and offered him a job. His wife goes, "We're in." And he goes, whoa, what do you mean we're in? We had a chance to negotiate. And I appreciated that from her. It saved us a little money. So anyway, they're here. Great couple. Jennifer, Tyler Kincaid. You have a chance, like I said, they have 2 little ones, and quite honestly, great. I mean, obviously California is California, and Manhattan is Manhattan, and they felt right at home when they got here. Great people in Manhattan were a big part of that. The family thing always comes into play here, and it came into play. They just felt like this would be a great home, great place to raise their 2 kids. So they're here. And then the other one was Evan Coachman. He's our new strength coach. Tyler Looney was our former strength coach. And again, he's a family tree guy. And he left, and again, kind of got outside the box a little bit, and this guy, Evan Coachman, was the head strength coach at Northwestern State, so he had like 11 sports, in charge of 11 sports, and really wasn't being paid very much money. He'd be head up of 11 sports. Former coach of mine, Lane Burrows, who's the head baseball coach at Northwestern State, called me up and says, I really don't want to do this, but I got a guy here. I need to allow him that opportunity if he wants to do it. I think he'd be great for you. Named Evan Coachman. He's kind of a late 20s guy. Came in, and again, just great enthusiasm, great energy, great passion for what he does. Very knowledgeable. He's been a tremendous asset to our coaching staff. So I'm really blessed right now. I got a great coaching staff. I'm excited. I got Coach Sawyers, obviously he's back. This will be his second year again of getting to work with the hitters. So, you know, like I said, there's a lot of reasons for me to be excited, unless we have a winter like we've had the last 2 years. So we have all but one game in Manhattan in March. We play at home all but once. We go to Creighton for one game in March. Everything else is in Manhattan. So obviously, I'm really hoping that we have great weather, great fan support, people coming to the games to help us out, and just honestly, really, I mean, that TCU series last year, I mean, we're kind of a team that was, you know, I mean, we're 500. You know, it's kind of hard sometimes when people jump on a bandwagon with a 500 team. Other than the fact, we have a great group of kids. They play hard, and I think they play the game the right way, and I think we are fun to watch. You just obviously, when you come, you want to watch teams win. I understand that. And we're about 500, but boy, that Friday night against TCU had a packed house, and we kicked their butts on Friday night. So, and I think the crowd had a big part to do with it, and so again, when y'all do come out and support, I'm telling you, it really does make a difference. So, and I know, obviously, Coach felt that way on Saturday against Oklahoma, and I know Coach Snyder feels that way about when the crowds come out, they can really swing the momentum to the home team. So, just a few players I will mention. I mentioned my coaching staff. Some seniors that you know, again, I think are kind of guys that you may want to watch. Tyler Wolf, just a great kid. Shortstop, I feel like he should have been probably second team All Big 12. He made an honorable mention last year. He was the second leading hitter in Big 12 only. He was one of those kids that was trying to adjust from junior college to us last year. Really got off to kind of a rough start, but boy, once we hit the Big 12, he hit his stride and really felt like his numbers deserved second team All Big 12 shortstop. But he got honorable mention. But just one of those kids that you just wish you could kind of just have your guys watch what he does. Last year as a junior comes in, and he's the one picking up trash and cleaning up the locker room, and he comes early, he stays late. He's just sometimes he's too much of a perfectionist in baseball. It's not a good thing to be a perfectionist, but he's such a hard worker and such a great kid, very unselfish, fierce competitor. So we're looking for him to play short again, and then also we're going to hopefully, is this true, Wood? Hopefully our pitching staff is a little deeper this year than what we have been, and we can actually even utilize him a little bit more pitching-wise, and that way we can kind of do some maneuvering around and some things. But we're hoping to be able to pitch him because he's also a great competitor on the mound, and utilize him at the back end of the game. If I can figure out how to do the shortstop pitching thing, then we'll see if we can make that work. Tyler Moore, catcher, kid out of Mill Valley, played at Coffeyville Community College, and he did a nice job last year. If I'm not mistaken, he was an honorable mention, all Big 12 guy, led us in home runs, and just a really good defensive catcher. He can really catch and throw. And again, a difference that we will have on our pitching mound this year, or pitchers on the pitching mound. Our pitchers, that Coach Kincaid is really adamant that we stop the running game better. So, you know, if our pitchers can be a little quicker to the plate, throw the ball where it's supposed to be thrown. That's a big part of it too. I'm trying to tell you. They can be quicker to the plate, but if they throw it at the middle of the plate and the ball is going flying over the fence, that doesn't do any good either. So you got to make a good pitch, be quicker to the plate, and still make a good pitch. But we got a great catch-throw guy back there. If he'll get it to us quick, he's going to throw people out, and so he'll be really good there. We're excited again about him. And then Clayton Dalrymple. Clayton's just the ultimate, just Mr. Personality. He's a senior now, came as a walk-on. He's earned a scholarship now the last 2 years. just what a great, tremendous kid he is. Man, he's just, like I said, you meet him and you just fall in love with that guy. So he's a guy that's really kind of, I'll just be honest with you, he's an overachiever. His skills, or his talent is kind of limited, but he's turned himself into a pretty darn good player. And he'll probably start for us every day again this year. You think he's not going to, and he ends up doing it. And he'll do what he can do to help the team win. So that's kind of three guys I like to profile. Levi Bavoris, I won't forget him either, 4-year kid. He was hurt, and he's done a great job, had surgery, came back, looks like he's going to be healthy, and he should be starting on Sundays for us right now. So I'm glad he's back. He's looked really good. Actually, his velocity's even increased 2 or 3 miles an hour. So kind of excited about him. So that's kind of maybe some of my seniors. I always like to showcase my seniors. I'm telling you, we got some pretty good freshmen. And we probably have 2 to 3 in the starting lineup starting next week. So unless they just really get nervous on the plane ride out to Riverside, we'll see how they handle that. But I plan on probably 2 to 3 in our starting lineup, and one of them probably going to hit in the top of the order, one in the middle of the order, one at the bottom of the order. So kind of excited there. And then obviously we had 2 drafted pitchers that I'm hoping right now we're on the raw side, but some great potential. So it's kind of the status of K-State baseball right now. Alexa, really appreciate you being here because you brought all those ticket order forms, right, for everybody that's here. Because if I remember right, Kiwanis, like I can't remember how many they bought. I think they set a record for buying season baseball tickets. Kiwanis. I think there's a competition, if I remember right, between all the clubs in town about who's going to buy the most baseball season tickets. So, if I remember right, we're at 902 right now. 902. If I counted right, we're right around 50-some people in here. So if you all bought, you and your significant other, a ticket, we would be over 1,000 for the 3rd time in the last 4 years, which is amazing when we started at 50, whatever it was when I first came, 50-some about 12 years ago. I don't mention the number that she said I was here because I'm a baseball coach and we don't talk about that number. So how many years I've coached here? You did mention it though, didn't you?
I didn't.
You did? Oh, you mentioned it. Oh, great. The baseball guy mentioned that bad number that it's baseball.
You started when you were 18, right?
Yeah, right. There you go. That's all right. We're just going to skip over that. So, but anyway, no. And again, I appreciate the fans and people who come out. And obviously, like I said, we were number 3 or 4 in the Big 12 last year in attendance. I mean, Manhattan, Kansas, and you're talking be better than Stillwater, better than Norman, better than Waco. We were better than all those people. The other 3 in Texas did beat us, but we were better than those other people. And a heck of a lot better than down the road. They don't even come close. So I appreciate that. And I think our people in the athletic department have done a tremendous job of going out and, promoting our baseball program and particularly the kids. I mean, the kids are who make it, and they do a good job. I think our kids do a good job of representing our program too. I think Tom will attest to that. He's traveled with us, and our kids do a really nice job of representing K-State, Manhattan, and our baseball program really well. So again, season tickets, it's not going to be 30. We're talking for a great spring, a lot of games in March, right? So that's just like 2 weeks away. You can still get your season tickets. They're not, I mean, it's like $2 something a game? Really? $2 something a game? I mean, you can come to 4 games, probably adds up to what costs 1 beer there. It's about what it is. But
Are the hot dogs good?
hot dogs are good, but they cost about what it is to get into the game too for about 3 times. So, but no, it's a pretty good atmosphere, it really is. And like I said, we do appreciate the people who come out, and you do make a difference. I promise you do make a difference. I think you like what you see. Our kids, they play hard, they'll represent well. You'll enjoy what you see. And obviously the Big 12, it's going to be good again. TCU's in the World Series, and I mean, it's Tech and TCU both were in the World Series a couple of years ago. In Texas, we had 3 teams 3 years ago. It's a good league. You're going to see some good baseball, and you'll probably see some future major leaguers out there at some point in time on the field. So I can field a few questions unless I've run out of time.
No, you're good. Questions?
Yes, sir.
You talked about the strength coach. What is different about strength coach to baseball?
In baseball, yeah.
Versus football.
Well, obviously, what we're looking for is more like we can't get them big and bulky. In baseball, you have to be able to, the arm, and you're talking about smaller muscles that have to really be developed. You don't want to overdevelop the muscles in baseball because guys have to really be fast. And we talk about speed and making your arm go fast. It's not legs and it's not power. I mean, it's not the power like in football. We just can't have guys big and bulky that can't swing the bat, throw the baseball. So, you know, he's got to do kind of the combination, because we do need kids to put on 15, 20 pounds. So that 170 pounder needs to be 190. But it has to be 20 pounds of the right muscle, has to be distributed the right way. And big thing he has to do is he's big into flexibility. Like he knows about the flexibility. We got to make sure the arm, the rotator gets trained the right way. And you just can't go in there and try to throw up the bench press as much as you can. You're going to end up with a lot of arm injuries, and we can't afford that. So his job is really, he has to be, you know, a guy who can train the right muscles, do it the right way. Coach Hill is kind of like, I like to do some mental and physical training both, and so he's got to work with me a little bit on what I like to have incorporated there too. But it's just a little bit different training, obviously, and like I said, Evans, just his knowledge is really, I'm really impressed with him as a young strength coach. His knowledge, because he, like I said, he had football and baseball, but he had football too, so he had to decipher 3 or 4 different styles, because even training basketball is different. So he had all the sports in Northwestern State. Yes?
In college baseball, you can't win without pitching. And you mentioned with recruiting, baseball is unique because in basketball and football, you're not competing against professional teams, but you are. So you've got a great prospect, and you spend a lot of time recruiting, and then he signs a contract and you can't get him. How do you approach a good player that you might spend a lot of time on and then lose to the draft?
We honestly have not been in that position a lot. Okay. Last summer, you know, we got a little nervous because every young man's dream is Major League Baseball. The hard reality to get through their heads is there's about 5 or 6 years of minor league stuff that's not real fun, where you don't make money, and it's not a real good situation. It's not a normal situation for an 18-year-old to be put in. To go away and be off on his own, away from home, and have to all of a sudden take care of himself totally. You know, the college setting, obviously, there's still a lot of things that are structured for them. But last year we did. We had a 20th rounder, and guess what? He freaked out and went home on me for a week. And then, thank goodness, he had a really good mentor back home. He's a former pitching coach in Arkansas that talked to him for like a week straight about your 20th rounder. I mean, the percentages of the top first rounders is average. And so I guess the 20th round, like, your percentages drop down to like 2% of making the big leagues. But it takes a long time because those kids think they're signing right to the big leagues, and they're not. And just for them to sit down and breathe and really look at the reality of things. And it wasn't getting life-changing money either. It wasn't a life-changing check. So that was scary. And then we had our big guy from Nixon, Missouri, big 6'7" kid. He goes down, and I stupidly allowed him to pitch last summer because he's hurt most of the spring. He got healthy and went down and pitched last summer in front of the Royals guy who had drafted him. They drafted him really late, and he threw really good in front of the right Royals guy. So the Royals took him over to Royal Stadium, put him in a uniform. He pitches to Perez. He gets to go down and throw a bullpen. You know, and you got Dayton Moore there watching him and talking to him, and they're all there. All the brass is there watching this kid. And they have his family there. And we're probably fortunate they got to that point where the Royals, they offered him, I think, everything they had left, but it wasn't enough. He had a father that knew the quality of education, you know. I mean, really look at it. I mean, if families are really smart about what they're doing, it's about 1.4 million, honestly. If you're trying to really set yourself up and do it the right way, and you're talking the big picture of life, of 60, 70 years of life, is about 1.4 million. That obviously 100,000 looks like a lot of money to a lot of kids, and it really ends up being about 60, and then 4 years that's gone and they have nothing. So we had really good parents in that setting that said he needs that college experience. So, you know, it's tough. I mean, we don't deal like the Vanderbilts and some of those people. I mean, and TCU, honestly, TCU got another first rounder to show up on campus this year. Lucan Baker, kid out of Texas, showed up to TCU, a first rounder. I mean, that's going to be fun. Yeah, so, but they gotta show up, and some people have been able to do that, but it takes really, parents are a huge part of it. And if the parents aren't really leading the leadership and all that, because I'll be honest, the one kid that went home, his parents said, whatever you wanna do. But the assistant coach, Marcus, our former assistant coach, saying, don't do it, that's stupid. You've got so much more ahead of you growing up, you're not mature enough right now, and he, got the kid to go, yeah, you're right, I need to go back to school. So, but it's a tough deal, we're gonna deal with that right now. We had a kid just blow up in Chicago, went to the top 60 thing up there and just threw 94. We've never had a kid throw 94. He's coming in next year. And he just shot himself in the third round, and we've never had a third rounder show up. So that'll be an interesting deal next summer. I'm putting that on Tyler Kincaid. I said you'll get a nice little $1,000 raise if you can get him to show up. I'll pay for it. So we'll see if he shows up. But he's kind of been a kid, keeps climbing the ladder, and fortunately he threw really good up in Chicago last week. So we'll have to deal with that for really the first time really coming probably this next summer, even though this last summer had a couple kids that were a little bit of an issue. All right. Now I'm done.
Okay.
Now I'm done.
All right. And, come up here.
Yes.
In honor of your speaking today, we're gonna donate this book
All
to
right.
Marlatt School. And there's a place in here where you can sign your name and whatever else you want. You need to use
Alright.
one of those pens.
Okay.
And we appreciate you coming.
You bet.
You're always excited.
Yes.
You wanna get out?
I'm
I
always
know you wanna
excited.
get outside.
I know. I'm away from being in California.
Thank you, Brad.
You bet. Thank you.
Is there a holiday in appreciation?
There is John Walters.
John Walters.
And it really is his birthday today.
No, it's not.
Oh, it
No,
isn't?
I think you got the wrong John Walker.
But you're the only John Walters in here, right?
There you go.
Take it, John.
Yeah, free lunch. Yeah, there's not many free lunches.
We're getting free lunch every day.
All right, now I got a little game. This is not really a joke, but it's a game. And Brad, you can even play. All right?
All right.
I've got a gift. Here's the question. Muskota, Kansas is the birthplace of Joe Tinker, who with two other players formed a famous double play combination in professional baseball. All three of those players are in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Now I have a prize for the first person who can name either one of the other two players or the name of their team.
Evers and Chance.
There you go, Brad gets it.
Wow.
And the team? The team?
Was it the Cubs? I'm not sure.
That's it, and that book's about bear cubs.
How about that?
Now, we got a couple minutes, so I'll share with you. You know where that phrase came from? Tinker to Evers to Chance? That's a harder question. Here it was a poem written by Franklin Pierce Adams, and this is how it goes. Baseball's sad lexicon. These are the saddest of possible words. Tinker to Evers to Chance. Trio of bear cubs and fleeter than birds. Tinker and Evers and Chance. Ruthlessly pricking our gonfalon bubble. Making a giant hit into a double. Words that are heavy with nothing but trouble. Tinker to Evers to Chance.
Interesting.
You need that. You need those three guys. Thank you. We're adjourned.
Did you mention